time to get down with Duffers. Duffers is a golf-inspired deck builder. In this game, you are trying to complete 6 or 9 holes with the least number of strokes as possible, just like a game of golf. Here you have 5 different types of cards that you're going to be playing with, from clubs to crew, duffs, which are not good, luck, and different forms of equipment like hats, umbrellas, etc. So they've done a really good job theming this game and keeping it fun, light, and easy. And we have played this inside, we've played this game outside, and we've just truly had a good time playing this game.
Yeah, before we turned the camera on, we were just talking about this game's just fun. Like, a lot of games that we have are kind of thinky, and there's still some thinking to be had here. But I just have a fun feeling. I'm not a big golf guy, but just the way that they've done the art, the theming, and the play style, it's just, I have a very enjoyable time every time we play this.
Yeah, and it's very interactive.
Yeah, so I guess some of the interactive elements are, you start with a deck, and it's kind of like Dominion. You start with cards that you like, at some point you want to thin out. There's a pro shop where you buy the better cards, whether they be some of the cards that she's outlined, such as the crew and the better clubs. And then there's a race element. So there's a race element to buy those cards before your opponent gets it. And there's also a race element to finish the holes before some of your opponents do. Because whoever's not the last person to finish the hole will get a card. And then some of the cards you will get for free are very powerful and very expensive.
Every time you finish a hole, you get to put your player token on it. If there are holes at the end of the game that one player has not finished, they end up getting twice the number of par. So if a hole has a 4 par, you're getting 8 strokes. Now that's not to say that when you're actually playing the game, you may finish the game with more than that, depending on your cards, because it may take you multiple cards to get up to 510 yards. So there is the chance that might be better, but you might be going for other bonuses and you're willing to take the hit just to actually finish it. And then in this game, some cards, you can buy them cheaper, but the catch is they come with the fact that you have to draw either a luck card, which could be good luck, a lucky
or bad
break,
luck.
or bad luck, which is negative, and you don't get a choice as to whether you draw them. The other options of cards you can draw are things called duffs. Now, duffs are always negative, and they go into your hand. So you're growing your hand. You're going to need to try to weed those out, and you can do that with some of the equipment cards or crew cards.
I always appreciate games where you can thin your deck easily, and in this game you can. So let's say there's a hole that's 220 yards. If you make the hole at 220 yards, you're allowed to throw out a card. Later in the game, as the game scales up, you're allowed to sell some of your weaker cards and just eliminate them from your deck for money to use at the pro shop. So as the game builds, it has a nice sense of progression where my hand and my deck just keeps getting better and better and better. And at the same point, I usually have some crew down, and the crews will usually help you out. Well, they give you extra cards, some will give you extra yardage, and they just give you additional benefits.
Yeah, so we keep saying you can buy cards. So a card has pretty much 2 options. You have yards or you have credits. So there are different options you can use. You may not try to hit a hole every time because you do need to have a putter. And there's only a few putters in the game. The one that you can always buy is quite lousy. It takes 3 strokes to get in. So you want to upgrade, and those are the kind of cards that Matthias was saying you really race for in that pro shop, because you may want this one, which is the Miracle Putting Wedge. It has a cost of 100, but it only costs 1 stroke, and that's huge in this game. And then when you're playing your cards, if you are, let's say, buying cards one turn using the credits, but you have this amazing card and you don't want to just throw it in the discard, on your player card, there is an area called the caddy. And on that caddy, you're allowed to place 1 card from your hand to use in future turns. As you can see here, there are A, B, and C. As you uncover those, so as you fill up a hole, you're going to place your player token on a hole, and you're going to reveal these different bonuses. And they are listed here, and they're just giving you a little bit more power as the game progresses.
So from a production standpoint, as we've already touched on, lots of thought went into every aspect of the game. As well, since you're constantly shuffling your deck, the card quality is great, so it's going to hold up.
Yeah, and the game, they put a lot of thought also into the rulebook. Not only do they have, like the anatomy of the cards and go into detail as to what everything means really clearly, they add artwork in that's just kind of thematic. Doesn't really add anything to the game, but it adds to the fun and the enjoyment. You have the little gopher running away with the ball. They actually have a card in the game about that. So it's easy to learn. There are lots of videos out there too on how to play if that's something that you like to learn from. And for the price of this game, you do get quite a bit of value. For replayability of this game, there is a lot of variety in a very small box. You have the holes themselves. There are 9 basic and 9 advanced. And because they're all individual cards, you can really mix and match any way you want. And the cards also, or the whole cards, also have conditions on them. So some say that you have to have no hook cards. Some say that you cannot play woods on them. So there's a lot of kind of variation in play style based on the holes you choose. And then, as Matthias said earlier, depending on what comes out in that pro shop, you're going to change your game.
I don't have much to add to that. I think that you've covered everything. The game will be very replayable. And as I said earlier, it's fun. I can definitely play this 25, 30, 40 times, and I think I'll have a good time every time I've played it. So what do you think, Lisa?
For us, this game goes the distance.